They say many hands make light work. 6 to be exact.
Yeah.
Would have been.
6 hands.
It would have been. Yeah, it would have been 8, but Sonia's got a dentist appointment. But I swear she cancelled it. We've done the starboard side. We've actually done so well. With all 3 of us, we smashed that in about 20 minutes. And it looks so good. This side had way more blistering than the port side.
Yeah.
So it kind of worked out really well that Al came to help with this morning. So Josh is just giving it a wipe down and we're going to acetone it and chuck the first coat of primer on there, or barrier coat, sorry. The goal today is to get our first layer of anti-foul on there. But we'll see how we go and we'll see what the rain's doing. I'm pretty stoked and the rain's held off so far. I know Josh is happy. Josh is happy because he's got my pads on his head.
Yeah, they're just on the wrong
Unwashed.
side. They're just on the wrong side of my head.
So it's not even 10:30 and we finished the painting on the starboard side. We still have that lower chime on the port side to do, but we're going to wait for this paint to set first. And while we were doing that, we're going to change all the through-hole fittings. We're actually being really productive. Josh was a little bit nervous at the start of the day that we're running a little bit short on time, but the fact that we've already done this side, this barrier coat, is just so great. We got 3 on this side, 1, 2, 1 at the back. So that's our bilge and grey water outlet there. And Alan recommended using a scour pad to get inside there and roughen up the surface. This is the raw water inlet, black water outlet, and that's our exhaust raw water outlet.
You can buy them for the auto industry. They're Scotch-Brite scourers. They're really sharp and flexible. They're great for tidying up the paintwork afterwards.
Great.
So wherever I see them, I always buy them because I need those.
Stuck up. That one's going to go missing at the end of the day. And you'll see it in a future video.
I've got heaps of them, so you can have them. Yeah.
This hole is extremely oversized for the through-hole fitting that's 20 mil. And it's also very ovaled, so if you don't have it completely in the center, you can actually see the edge of that hole. We want to get this painted today, first coat of anti-foul, definitely. Yeah, just going to pump the gas with that a little bit.
Now Josh is just sanding the boot strip, so I'm going to go along with acetone now and then tape it up. And hopefully we'll paint it before this rain comes. And then hopefully it's dry.
I'm in the aft cabin, and for some reason I've forgotten that the headroom is so bad in here. I can't believe that. I can't even sit up. Here to tighten this through-hole fitting that we installed yesterday. So I'm going to tighten it half a turn, put our seacock onto the through-hole fitting with a bit of thread tape, and then install our engine discharge hose onto the seacock. When installing your thread tape, you need to make sure that as you screw the fitting onto the thread, or whatever's going onto the thread, that the end of the tape tail is facing in the same direction that you're screwing, so that when you screw it on, it's not pushing the tail open and taking the thread off as you go. The exhaust is on. Lucky I was able to keep the nipple inside this hose and just get Stilsons on this thread and turn it in with some thread tape in there. And we've got double hose clamps on there for double the protection, pretty much. I think for insurance and survey purposes you need to have that. So now I'm doing the other above the waterline fitting, which is for our bilge and sump box sort of head discharge, and also for our kitchen sink. Now this was only recently completed just before we went cruising, so I'm keeping the same fittings and everything that was on there. It's above the waterline most of the time, so I'm kind of a bit more confident with that. But yeah, I am going to reapply all the thread tape to it and sort. So when I disassemble this, I need to make sure I put it in the same order that it's going to go back in. It's all together now. A little bit of a reconfiguration due to height issues, but we'll make it work because I have to reroute the bilge line anyway.
I'm getting into some rainy day jobs today. It's actually our last day at the boat harbour and it is absolutely pissing down. If you weren't aware, we fouled our tank a couple of months ago. We filled up with non-potable water. But once we moved off the boat during our house sitting period, the tank tanks were empty, which was our first mistake because it allows space for contaminants and for, you know, stuff to grow. And lo and behold, like a month after, it became this little petri dish full of mold. So not only would the water tank, the forward tank, be filled with mold, but probably the bladder as well under the floorboards, but also the piping, which sucks. We don't really have the time or the means to be taking out the plumbing at the moment. So we'll start at the root cause, which is the forward tank. We're gonna clean that out this morning, and we'll probably have to address our lines at some point in the near future. So we filled up the forward tank with fresh water and lots of vinegar, and we flushed that through the lines and we let that sit in there for months pretty much. So I've done a bit of digging online about how to address mold in holding tanks. So from what I've learned, it's a 1/4 cup of bleach for every 55 litres. So we're going to be using just over 2 cups of bleach, which isn't that bad really. I have to take off the top of the holding tank and actually physically scrub it, because you can't just let it soak in the tank, because you need to break down the layer of mold so that it can actually be penetrated and cleaned by the bleach. And I got clean clothes on so that there's no anti-foul or paint particles that'll go into there when I'm cleaning, because that would be the worst.
Oh, there is a tiny little bit of seal, but
Yeah,
it's quite degraded and broken.
Let's replace that seal while we're at it, eh? Oh, lots of sediment. There's actually not too much mold, babe. No, there is mold, look. It's definitely mold, but it's sediment. I don't know if mold settles like that, does it?
There's mold all around there, eh? But
yeah, it's still moldy. But
look, there's the cap that you dropped out all that time ago.
Yay! Okay, so taking the filter out, it's pretty dank, and all of that water from the forward tank will drain into the sump box. That'll run under the floorboards and then out through the bilge outlet there. When we filled up our tanks and we tasted it, it tasted like dirty water. And then we looked into the type of water that it was, and it was actually recycled water. We did a little bit of digging and we were like, surely it wouldn't be undrinkable water that they use in But actually in Queensland, they use recycled water for like fighting fires and that kind of thing. And it isn't safe for humans because it's untreated. So I think that's what all that crap is. That was going into our bodies. Oh. Okay, I'm gonna hose it out, get rid of the rest of the stuff and the sediment, and then give it a spray and a wipe down with bleach, fill up the tank with water and the two and a bit cups of bleach, and let it sit there for a couple of hours.
Jump into this next job with me. Below the compression post in the bilge is our manual pump discharge of black water and bilge water. I've got to cut back some excessive thread on the 1.5 inch through hull to allow enough space for the seacock, nipple, hose and 2 clamps.
What is it, like 2 mil yard?
Yeah.
Not everything goes to plan the first time, but with the right tools and attitude, anything can be fixed. I'm always trying to match like for like when replacing parts on the boat. This is an attempt at self-preservation, saving myself from constantly redesigning and modifying systems. However, it doesn't always go to plan.
I had to do that because I can't get, this nipple is much longer than the last one that ended about there, so I can't actually get up onto where I need to get the hose onto the nipple and then tighten the hose clamps.
Hey, have you ever heard of boat yoga? Well, the belief behind the practice is getting into all manner of positions whilst doing work on the boat. Tight spaces mean jobs that would usually take a short time are 10 times harder.
Josh is just doing the last finishing touches on that through hole fitting down there.
So I really buggered that up. Getting this T-piece on, I completely somehow managed to cross thread it. So I'm gonna have to cut the thread back on the through hole fitting and get some nice fresh thread on there and start all again. I don't know how that happened. Maybe I had too much thread tape on it when I put it on, and I should have seen. Anyway, you live and you learn. Bad mistake. But so all that thread, the darker thread through the front section is completely worn away, so I'm gonna have to cut it back 10 mil and watch this here.
Are you on wipe duty?
Yeah, he's
Well,
wipe.
yeah.
Yeah, he's wipe. I'm ready to
Okay,
go.
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 See on that chime?
Yeah.
Yeah. I might actually get a new dry rag. Practice, we don't have bloody choice.
Yep. Wait, removing to the length of the stud.
We've cut a little bit of extra length off these studs. It's important to put the bolt on before you cut a stud because you'll stuff up the thread on it, and then if you have a bolt on there that you can wind off, then it'll fix the thread as it winds off. So I'm just cleaning them up with this and pulling the nuts off, and Phoebe's hitting it with a bit of
Anti-seize.
anti-seize. We don't want rust to form and then to lose connection to the hull through the anode.
Did you tell them that we only put 2 coats of anti-foul on? Okay, well we did. So tomorrow we just need to do an oil change and then give the side of the boat a bit of a pressure wash as well, babe.
Yeah, I'll probably chuck it up.
Okay, so we're just touching water now.
Yeah.
Ready to check all the sea cocks.
There is some water coming from somewhere, but it seems like it's coming from higher up. What kind of water coming from?
What does it taste like?
I think the skin fitting looks fine.
It's the head. It's the water draining into the sump box.
There's no water in. Oh,
You're serious? Okay, that's good. This bilge outlet's completely dry. Oh my god, we're floating! No rain. All's working as it
I can't believe
should.
the rain's just buggered off the
Yeah.
day we get back in the water.
Words can't even describe how this feels right now. Another successful haul out.
We're ready for our next season.
Yeah.
We're ready.
It's all been leading up to this. Everything, it's floating. We have no leaks. The only thing we didn't manage to do was the oil change, but that's okay. That's something that we can do later. But yeah, stoked about the work that we got done, especially with the weather that we've been given. It's just, yeah, it's awesome. And it's such a beautiful day. Do you reckon these little swallows up here are like, I remember this boat. I used to live in here and shit all over it.
yeah, they're in trouble, those swallows.
Got you where we're going?
Not really. Oh, that's so nice being back in the water.
Rock it, seen it.
Might have to reverse that.
See you soon.